Here I'm doing a deep cleaning of a phone that has some water damage, how to take it apart and get all the corrosion out of it. So this phone fell into a creek and water got into it. If this happens to you, don't try to turn on your phone. What you should do is just put your phone into a bag of rice for a couple days to try to get the moisture out. And if it still doesn't work, then we can open it up and then have a look at the inside and see what's going on. So this version of phone is a Samsung Galaxy A20, and you can take off the back. I'm using a suction cup, heating up the back cover there. When one side peels away, it's quite easy just to peel around the outside, and then with the back off we can have a look and see if there's any corrosion in there. This phone, the screen turns on, but the touch screen does not work. With the back cover off, there are several screws around the outside on the top that we need to remove so that we can take off the ribbon cables. And then just sliding it down, there's also quite a few screws on the bottom. Using an ice cube tray helps organize my screws. And then with those screws out, just using my finger, you can just pry. There's this plastic bezel that kind of pops off just underneath the screen. And then you want to disconnect your battery, disconnect the ribbon cables that connect to your LCD, and also that connects to your charging port. With those cables removed, I had a quick examine of them on the scope, and I noticed that there is some blue corrosion there on the copper. Now, a lot of the wires there are gold, but the heading of this has some copper, and copper does rust when moisture gets on it. So this is just using a little brush for your teeth. You can buy them at Walmart, and then putting some isopropyl alcohol, you can rub it on the connectors there to get rid of the rust. So this is a little bit clean. You can actually see the little blue corrosion there, and this will cause a short, and it could cause all sorts of problems for your phone there. So just using the brush, it's quite easy just to remove it there. So this has 4 connectors that I had to clean. On each ribbon cable there's 2 sides. Now there's also a head that connects to the phone as well, and I noticed that on the bottom of this it also has some corrosion, and so I'm gonna have to use some flux and then my soldering iron to fix this issue there. Just using isopropyl alcohol, I don't think it's going to do the job, so I'm going to have to use some heat to get it. But for your phone, if you just use a little brush, even a toothbrush with isopropyl alcohol, and get those cables all nice, it could do the trick. So here I am just using the hot iron, 350 degrees, and just reconnecting those connectors, and they look a lot better. They don't look all gunky or anything after using the heat and the flux there. So there are 4 connectors that I went through, and then just examine through your board there to see if there's any other blue corrosion. Here's the other connector. I'll do the same thing, just putting flux, and then I'll use the hot iron just to make sure that those connections are all good, because we already identified the issue was the phone was turning on but the screen was not working. So those screen connector has some issues there. Maybe one of those pins is shorting out. After we've done that and everything's looked clean, I put it on and I put on the power button and it turns on. Not a problem. And before, the touchscreen wasn't working, but right now it is. So that seems to have done the trick, and it's working there, and all the buttons are working, so that's great. So if your phone has some water damage, again, try to get the moisture out. You could use also a hair dryer and clean out those ports. See you guys in the next video.